This tutorial shows how to work the first 7 rounds of the Indivisible crochet pattern by Johanna Huck. Indivisible is the 2024 mystery crochet along pattern from Expression Fiber Arts. I am going to be working the entirety of the first 7 rounds, and then I'll briefly cover how to do the repeats for rounds 8 and beyond. But because I'm going to be working the full round of each one on camera in real time, there are timestamps in the video description so you can jump just to the round that you need help with, so you don't have to watch the whole thing. And I apologize if I go out of frame. It's really hard to watch my hands and watch the camera, so I'm going to just try really hard to stay in frame, and I apologize if that happens. So to begin, we're going to start with our color 2 and the magic ring method. Do a chain 1 into the magic ring. Whoops, try that again. Yep. Okay, so chain 1. I like to kind of cinch that down just to make sure that it's tight on the ring. All right, and then we're going to work 8 single crochets into the ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, and then I'm gonna pull my tail so that it's loose here and cinch that ring down, making sure that all my single crochets are on the outside of the ring. All right, once I've got that cinched down, pull my tail out of the way, and I am just going to slip stitch into the beginning of the ring to join. And where I'm making this slip stitch is also where I'm going to be making my first round stitch. Okay, so this is round 1, and each round begins the exact same way all the way through this pattern. So you're going to begin with a chainless starting double crochet where you pull your loop taller, about the height of a double crochet, and then you're going to pinch it up against the hook, either with your finger. I prefer to use my thumb, but you can pinch it however works best for you. You're going to rotate your hook towards you, down towards your lap, and then back around towards your hand. And as you can see, that brings kind of a doubled thickness of yarn over the hook, and it's just a continuation of that strand that you're holding. And you're going to yarn over, and you're just going to pull under that, and that's going to hold that initial loop that you were holding on the hook. Should hold that at that point. So we're going to go into that first stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and that's where we have 3 loops on the hook. So it says chainless starting double crochet, stopping at 3 loops. So that's where you are right there. Then continue puff stitch in same stitch. So we're going to, starting from here with our 3 loops on the hook, we're going to finish making the 7 loops that you need for the puff stitch. So yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over and pull through. That's 5. Yarn over, that's 6. Into the stitch, yarn over and pull through. So now we have 7 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through all 7 loops, and chain to close. So you're always going to work a chain at the end of that puff to close the puff. Then the instructions tell us we're going to chain 1 and make another puff in that same stitch. So to make that next puff, we're going to yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, 3, yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, 5, yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over, pull through. That's 7 stitches on the hook, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 7 stitches and chain 1 to close. And then we're just going to repeat the following sequence. So we're going to chain 1, skip 1, so we're going to skip this next single crochet, and into the stitch after that, so not this stitch but the next one, we're going to work a puff, a chain, a puff. So yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, that's 3, yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, that's 5, yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, that's 7, pull through all 7 on the hook, and chain 1 to close. So puff, chain, and then another puff. So again, yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over, pull through all 7, chain to close. And then we go back to the beginning of the repeat, which is chain 1, skip the next stitch, and then puff, chain, puff into the stitch after that. So yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, over, in, over, over, in, over, pull through 7, chain to close, chain 1, make another puff. So I basically just do the yarn over and then I go in. So I go 3 over, 5 over, 7. So I've got my 7 stitches, pull through, chain to close, and then that repeat one more time. We're going to chain 1, skip 1, work puff, chain, puff into the next stitch. So I did my yarn over, go into that stitch, yarn over and pull through. That's 3 over, in, over, 5 over, in, over, 7, pull through 7, chain 1, and then one more puff. So over, in, over, 3, over, in, over, 5, over, in, over, 7, pull through 7, chain 1, and then to finish out this round, we are going to chain 1, we're going to skip that last stitch, and we're going to slip stitch into the beginning of the round. And then we're going to slip stitch again into the chain 1 space that is between these first 2 puffs. So we did the slip stitch here to the beginning of the round, and then we're going to do another slip stitch up here between those 2 puffs right there. So in, yarn over, and pull through. Okay, and so that's just going to start our beginning of the round in between these 2 puffs when we start round 2. So what I want you to notice before we start round 2 is these sets of puffs right here, 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 and here. These are your corners, okay? So you're going to get to the parts of the pattern where it tells you to do the puff, chain, puff in the corner stitch. These are your corner stitches, and so the chain that's between the 2 puffs, those are where your corners are. All right, round 2. Again, we start every round the same way, which is the chainless starting double crochet. Sorry, let me talk through that. All right, unwind my hook here. So the chainless starting double crochet, you're pulling your loop higher, about twice the height of the previous row. Pinch it, twist towards you, down towards your lap, back towards your hand, yarn over and pull under that strand, and then into the stitch, yarn over and pull through. There's your 3 loops on the hook, and then we're just going to continue making a puff. So yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, that's 5, yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, that's 7, pull through all 7, chain to close the puff, chain 1, and then we're going to make another puff in that same stitch. So we always begin the same way, the chainless starting double crochet into the puff, then chain 1, and then make a second puff. Pull through 7, chain 1 to close. Round 2, the repeat that we're working is we're going to chain 1, skip this chain space right here, and then we are going to do another puff, chain, puff in the chain space between these next 2 puffs. Okay, so we did the chain 1, we're skipping this chain that's between this corner and this corner, and then in the chain stitch of this corner, we're going to work another puff, chain to close, and then chain 1. Sorry, and then another puff in that same space. I'm going to twist it around here. Okay, so another chain in that same, or another puff in that same space. So yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over, pull through all 7 stitches, chain 1 to close. And then we're going to repeat again. Chain 1, skip 1, and then we're going to work our chain, puff, chain into this next corner, which is the chain space between those 2 puff stitches right there. So puff, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, till you have 7 stitches on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 7, chain 1 to close, chain. So we're doing a puff. The first chain closes the puff, and then we're doing a chain between puffs. So chain 1, and then yarn over, in, yarn over, pull through, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, pull through 7, chain to close, all right, and now we work that repeat again. Chain 1, skip this chain space, and then we're going to work our puff, chain, puff in the next corner. Puff, 7, pull through 7, chain to close, chain 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, pull through 7, chain to close. And then to finish out this round, so we've worked our first corner, our second corner, our third corner, our fourth corner, and we still have this side to get across. So we are going to chain 1, and then we are going to slip stitch into the beginning of the round. Went under more than I needed to there. Try that again. Slip stitch into the beginning of the round, and then we're going to do a second slip stitch into that corner again, the top of the corner, so in between those first 2 puff stitches. Now at this point, your work is going to look more like a basket than a flat disc. Okay, that's normal. Johanna has expressed that this is what's going to happen at the beginning, and as you continue to work, that poof in the middle is going to start to flatten out, and then when you block, you'll be able to get the rest of that. But if you can see, it's kind of hard to see 3D on a camera, but if you can see, if I'm holding my piece up kind of flat, you can see that middle pokes out a little bit still. That's completely normal. As you work the next couple of rounds, this will start to flatten out a little bit more. Okay, so this is round 3. Again, we're going to start the same exact way. We're going to do the chainless starting double crochet until we have 3 loops on the hook, and then we're going to finish out a puff stitch. Yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, 7 loops on the hook, pull through all 7, chain to close, do a chain 1, and then we're going to make another puff stitch in that same space. 3, 5, 7, pull through 7, chain to close. All right, our repeat for round 3 is we're going to do a chain 1, and then we're going to do a DCV, which is a double crochet V in this chain space right here. So here's our corner. If you can see, let's see. So kind of weave in and out here. This is our first corner. All right, here's our second corner. Down here is our third, and there's our fourth. So we're working from corner to corner when we do the repeat section. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do here is a DCV, or double crochet V stitch, which is, so we did our puff, chain, puff, or the chainless starting double crochet to the puff, chain, puff, and then we did the chain to close that puff, and then another chain. Now we're going to do our double crochet V. So yarn over into this chain space. You're going to do a double crochet, chain 1, and another double crochet in the same space. All right, so that's kind of what happens on the side. So we've got corner, this is the side, and now we're to the next corner. We're going to do a chain 1 to get to the corner, and then we're going to do our chain, puff, chain, or puff, chain, puff in that next corner. All right, so yarn over into the stitch, pull through, that's 3, over, in, over, 5, over, in, over, 7, pull through 7, chain 1, and another puff, over, in, over, 3, over, in, over, 5, over, in, over, 7, pull through 7, chain to close. Our next side, we do a chain 1, we do a DCV into this chain space, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and then we're going to finish out that side with a chain 1, and then we're going to do our puff, chain, puff into this next corner. Puff, 7 stitches, pull through, chain 1 to close, do a chain, puff, chain, and our next puff, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, pull through 7, chain to close. Our next side, we're going to do a chain 1, DCV in this chain space, so double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in the same space, and then chain 1 to finish that side. And now we're going to do our puff, chain, puff in the corner again. Puff, chain, puff. Chain to close. And then our final side, we need to do a chain 1, DCV in that chain space, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in the same space, do a chain 1, and then to finish, we're just going to slip stitch to the beginning of the round. And then one more slip stitch in the corner between those first 2 puffs. Okay, so that is round 3. As you can kind of see now, we're starting to get our puffs making this X. So puffs to this corner, puffs to this corner, puffs to this corner, puffs to this corner, and now we have this double crochet V on each side. All right, so if you're counting your stitches at the end of round 3, it says you have 8 puff, 4 double crochet V, and 12 chain 1 spaces. Okay, so here's our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 puffs, our 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochet V, and then our chain spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. Oh, so yes, the, while we're talking about it, the chain spaces, the chain between the puff counts. The chain outside the double crochet V on either side counts. So we have 1, 2, 3. This chain right here is part of the double crochet V. That doesn't count. So 1, 2, not this one, 3, 4, 5, not this one, 6, 7, 8, not this one, 9, 10, 11, not this one, 12. Okay, round 4. Again, we start each round the same way. Chainless starting double crochet. Oops. Did not pull that through the right space. Try that again. Till we have 3 stitches, and then we're going to continue to make a puff stitch. 5, 7, pull through 7, chain to close, and then chain 1 and another puff. 1, 2, 3, chain to close. All right, once we've done that, our repeat starts with a chain 1. We're going to skip this first chain space, and we're going to work 2 puffs into the DCV. So in this chain between these 2 double crochets, we're going to work 2 puffs. So puff 1, chain to close, but we're not working a chain between the 2 puffs. We're just beginning another puff as soon as we chain to close. And chain to close. And then we are going to chain again to get to our next corner. In the corner, we always work a puff, chain to close, a chain, and another puff. Chain to close. All right, again, our repeat, we're going to chain 1, skip this space, 2 puffs in between the 2 double crochets of the DCV. So first puff, chain to close, second puff, chain to close. And then we're going to work a chain to get over to our corner. And back in our corner, we're going to work our puff, chain, puff. Oops. Pull through 7, chain to close, chain, and our second puff. Chain to close. All right, chain 1, skip this space, 2 puffs in between the 2 double crochets of the DCV. So work our first puff, whoops, I don't like it when I do that. All right, first puff, chain to close, and puff number 2. Chain to close, and then we're going to work a chain to get over to our corner, and we're going to work our puff, chain, puff. Chain to close, chain 1, second puff, chain to close, and then on our final side, again, the repeat, chain 1, skip this stitch, 2 puffs in between the 2 double crochets in that space between. There's our first puff, chain to close, here's our second puff, chain to close. Then we're going to work a chain 1 to get back over to this corner. We're going to slip stitch to the beginning of the round. Oops. Oh, I did not get under all of those. Try that again. Slip stitch to the edge, and then we're going to slip stitch again up there in between those 2 puffs so that we're starting our round in the right place. See if I can pull my yarn over here again. It's getting tight on me. Okay. So we have our round 1. It still kind of wants to curl up, you can see. Round 1, our round 2, our round 3, and now we finished round 4. So at the end of round 4, it says we have 16 puff, so we can count those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And then it says we have 12 chain 1 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm going to count those chain 1 spaces again because I didn't show you properly. All right. So we have the chains between the puff stitches in the corner. So that's 1, 2, no chain, 3, 4, 5, no chain, 6, 7, 8, no chain, 9, 10, 11, no chain, 12. Now we're back at the beginning of the round. All right. Round 5. Round 5 begins the same way. Chainless starting double crochet until we have 3 loops on the hook, and then we're making the rest of a puff stitch. 7, pull through 7, chain to close, chain 1, and another puff stitch. Pull through 7, chain to close. And then our repeat is we're going to do a chain 1, and then so for each side that we work, we are going to remember our puffs with the chains in between are making these corners that are coming out kind of at this diagonal. Okay, so what we're working on the repeats are from the beginning of a side to the end of a corner each time. Okay, so we're going to start with a chain 1. We're going to work a DCV, immediately work 2 puffs in the middle of these 2 puffs, another DCV, a chain at the end, and then do our puff, chain, puff in the corner each time. Okay, so the chain 1 to start, double crochet V into the chain space, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, immediately into a puff stitch in the middle of these 2 puff stitches, pull through 7, chain to close, another puff stitch, chain to close, into a double crochet V in this next chain space, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, and then we're back to our corner where we're going to work our puff, chain, puff. Chain, puff, chain to close. All right, that repeat again. Chain 1, double crochet V into the chain space, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in the same space, puff stitch in between these 2, 5, 7, chain to close, another puff stitch in the same space, 7, chain to close, another DCV in this space, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, and then we're back at our next corner, puff, chain, puff. So our first puff, sorry, chain to close, chain 1, another puff, chain to close. Our next side, same repeat, chain 1, double crochet V, double crochet, chain, double crochet in that space, 2 puffs in between the 2 puffs, chain to close, second puff in that same space, chain to close, another double crochet V in this chain space right here. So double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, finish out that side with a chain 1 to get over to the corner, and then puff, chain, puff, puff, chain, puff, chain to close. All right, and this is our final side. You can see we've completed 3 of the 4 sides. So our final side, we're going to start with chain 1, double crochet V into this space. So double crochet, chain 1, whoops, chain 1, double crochet. Immediately go into a puff stitch in the middle of these 2 puff stitches. Puff, chain to close, another puff in that same space. Chain to close, another DCV right here in this chain space. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. And then to end that round, we're going to chain 1, slip stitch to the beginning, and then another slip stitch into the corner, which is between those 2 puff stitches. And that is the end of, now I got to count because I can't remember which round we're on. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just finished round 5. All right, so at the end of round 5, it tells us we have 16 puff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Correct. All right, at the end of round 5, it says we have 8 DCV. And remember, the chain in between the DCV doesn't count as a chain, it's part of the DCV. So starting at my beginning, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. And a total of 12 chain 1 spaces. So those are the chain 1 between the puffs in the corners and on the outside of the DCVs on either end of the sides. So I'm actually going to let this lay here. Make sure you can see the whole thing. Okay. So we have in the corner 1 next to the DCV, 2 all the way over here to the end of the DCV, 3 in the corner, 4 next to the DCV, 5 all the way on the other end of the other DCV, 6 in the corner, 7 right next to the between the puff and the DCV, 8 all the way over here to the other end, DCV, 9, 10, there's 11 next to the DCV again, and then all the way over here, 12. Now we are out round 6. So round 6 is the first of the repeated rounds. So round 6 and 7 are the rounds that get repeated for the rest of the project. Once you do 6 and 7, 8 and 9 are the same, 10 and 11 are the same, and so on. And so as I'm going through round 6, I'm going to slow down just a little bit and talk about what gets repeated. So we're going to start the round the same way. This is round 6, chainless starting double crochet, into a puff stitch, chain 1, and make a puff stitch in the same space. Chain to close. Okay, Now our repeated sequence is going to be, we're going to chain 1, we're going to skip this chain space right here next to the right of the DCV, or to the left of the corner puffs. So we're going to skip here. We're going to do 2 puffs in each of, we have 2 puffs in the center of this DCV, 2 puffs in the center of these 2 puffs, 2 puffs in the center of this DCV. Okay, so when we do this round, we're only going to have 3 sets of puffs. As you'll see when we work, after we work round 7, there's going to be more puffs in the middle of the DCVs. So you're always working the 2 puffs in the DCVs on either end, but also working 2 puffs in each of the puffs that are in the middle. So that's going to grow. We're going to get 2 more. Actually, let's see if I can show you here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when we work round 6, we're working puffs in the DCV of round 5 here, puff, and then puffs in the center puff there, and then a puff in the DCV here. Okay, when we get out to the first time we repeat this round, which is round 8, we're working a puff in the DCV that's below. So we have a puff here, we have a puff in the DCV that's here, but then we have puffs in the middle. 1, 2, 3 puffs in the middle instead of 1 puff in the middle. Okay, so that's what's going to help this grow out this way. Is you're increasing with the DCV in one row and then adding puffs in the row above that, and then another DCV in the row above that, and then more puffs on the row above that. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so back to round 6. We've worked our corner, the beginning corner, and we're now at the beginning of our repeat. So we're going to start with our chain 1. All right, and then we are going to work 2 puffs in the DCV, 2 puffs in the 2 puffs, and then in the center of, let's say in the center of, 2 puffs in the center of the DCV, 2 puffs in the center of the 2 puffs, 2 puffs in the center of the DCV. So keep in mind, we're only chaining on the sides that are closest to the corner. So we're doing a chain here and a chain here, but we're only working the puffs across. Okay, so I'm going to work 2 puffs in the center of the double crochet V. Puff 1, close it. Puff 2, close it. Now 2 puffs in the center of the 2 puffs. Second puff. Close it. 2 puffs in the center of the double crochet V. Close it, second puff. Close it. And then because we're done with this side now, so corner to corner, done with this side, we need to work a chain 1. And then we're going to work in our corner stitch, our puff, chain, puff. Chain, puff. Sorry, my yarn keeps not wanting to slide up here. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. And was that when it does that, my puffs get too tight. Hang on. All right, so I did my puff, I did my chain. Let's do one more puff here. Close that. All right, so now we're at the second side. The second side, working from this corner to this corner. We're going to do chain, 2 puffs, 2 puffs, 2 puffs, chain, and then back to the corner. Okay, so chain 1, 2 puffs in the center of the 2 double crochets. There's 1, close it, 2, close it, 2 puffs in the center of the 2 puffs. There's 1, close it, there's 2, close it, 2 puffs in the center of the double crochet V. 1, 2, 3, close it, second puff, close it, and then because we're to the end of that side and ready to do the corner, we need a chain 1, and we're going to do our puff, chain, puff. Puff, chain, puff. Oops. You know what? Did I do a... I'm going to back up a little bit here. So I did my puff, chain to close it, chain between them, and then a puff. Chain to close it. Get some more yarn up here since it doesn't seem to want to flow very easily. All right, so now we're going to do this side. Again, we're going to start with a chain 1, skip this chain space, and then we're going to do 2 puffs in between the 2 double crochets. 1, close, 2, close, 2 puffs in the center of the 2 puffs. There's 1, close it, there's 2, close it, and then 2 puffs in the center of the double crochet V. 1, oh. Try that again. 1, close it, 2, close it, and now we're at the end of this side, so a chain 1 to get to the corner where we do our puff, chain, puff, puff, chain, puff, close it, and for this side, which is the last side, again we're going to chain 1, skip this chain space, 2 puffs in the center of the 2 double crochets, or the double crochet V, close it, 2, close it, 2 puffs in the center of the 2 puff cluster, 1, and then here comes 2, close it, 2 puffs in the center of the DCV, close it, second puff, close it, and to get to the corner again, we're going to chain 1, and this time we're going to slip stitch into the beginning of the round, and then 1 more slip stitch in the corner in between those 2 puffs. And that is the end of round 6. So round 7 is the last round before you begin the repeats. And again, just kind of hold this out to show you our corners. The puff stitches that have the chains in between them come out like an X in either direction. So those are our corners, and then we're gradually working more things on these sides that are spreading out. Okay, so at the end of round 6, 32 puffs, 12 chain 1 spaces. So puffs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. And then our chain 1 spaces are going to be in between the corner puffs and then on either edge of the corner puffs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, round 7. So on round 7, if you look at your round 6 or any of your even numbered rounds that you've just finished, you're going to have your corner puffs with the chain in between them, and then you're going to have along the sides just sets of puffs. So in these chain spaces at the either end is where we're going to be working a double crochet V on the odd numbered rounds. And then on the even numbered rounds, we're going to fill those in with puff stitches just like we did in round 6 into the double crochet V's that we had in round 5. We worked these puff stitches. So for round 7, we're going to put 7 and 9 and 11 and 13, we're going to be putting a double crochet V in either edge right up here next to the corner stitches. And then in the even number rounds that follow, we'll be working another puff stitch on either side of the ones that we already have, if that makes sense. So this is round 7. This is the last round that I'm actually going to demonstrate. But I am going to pick up my other swatch and just show you again when you're working the rounds past this that you're basically working the same thing just across more stitches on the sides. So round 7 begins the same way with our chainless starting double crochet until we have 3 loops on the hook, and then we are going to turn that into a puff stitch, chain to close, chain 1, make another puff stitch, chain to close, and then because we're at the beginning of a side, we're going to do a chain 1, and then in this chain space we're going to work a double crochet V, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. We are not putting a chain in between this and the stuff that goes across the middle, okay? So we chain before the double crochet V, and we'll chain at the end after we work the next one. But after this double crochet V, we're just working 2 puff stitches in each set of the puff clusters that are below. So a 2 puff stitch cluster, close, sorry, let me get more yarn here. It really does not want to slide easily for me today. All right, so that's 1, 2, we're going to make a second puff in that same space, close, and then 2 in the next set. So we're just working puff clusters across. 1, 2, so that's a 2 puff cluster until we get to our chain space. So in this round, it just happens to be 3 sets of puff clusters. The next time you work the repeat of this round, it'll be 5, and then after that it'll be 7. Okay, so I've worked my chain 1, my double crochet V, my sets of puff clusters across, puff clusters in the puff clusters, and now I need a double crochet V on this end. Chain 1, double crochet, and then a chain 1 to get back to the corner where I'm going to work my puff, chain, puff. Chain, puff, close. All right, next side, same thing. We're going to do chain 1, double crochet V, 2 puffs, 2 puffs, 2 puffs, double crochet V, chain, back to the corner. Chain 1, double crochet V, 2 puffs in the 2 puff cluster, 2, 2 puffs in the next cluster, 2, 2 puffs in the next cluster, 2. And then we're back to our chain space, so we need our double crochet V there. Chain 1, double crochet. Finish out the side with the chain 1, and we're back to our corner where we work our puff, chain, puff. Chain, puff. Next side, chain 1, double crochet V in the chain space. Oops. Get wild here. Okay. 2 puff stitches in the 2 puff cluster. 1, 2, 2 puffs in a 2 puff cluster. 1, 2, 2 puffs in the 2 puff cluster. 1, 2, and then we're back to our chain space, so we need a double crochet V, chain 1, double crochet. To complete the side, we need a chain 1. That gets us to our corner where we can work our puff, chain, puff, puff, chain, puff, and the last side, chain 1, double crochet V in the chain space, chain, double crochet, 2 puffs in each cluster, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2 puffs in the next cluster, 1, 2, 2 puffs in the next cluster. And finally, double crochet V in that chain space. Chain 1 to get to the end of the round, and then slip stitch. Oops. Try that again. Slip stitch to the beginning of the round, and then a second slip stitch up in that corner between the 2 puffs. And that is the end of round 7. All right, cinch that center down just a little bit more. So hopefully you can see every time you get to the corner, you're always working the same chain, puff, chain, puff, chain, puff. All right. once you've finished a center, you're always going to have a chain stitch at the beginning and the end of a side. So these are your sides. Okay, your sides. Oh, you can't even see the top where I was showing that. Let me try that again. Okay, so you have your sides and you have your corners where the puffs are. You have your puff, chain, puff. Okay, so you always begin with a chain stitch right next to that corner. And then you're either working your double crochet V or you're working puffs. So in this next round, which would be round 8, it's a repeat of round 6. So after you work that corner stitch, the chainless starting double crochet to the puff stitch, chain, puff, you're going to do a chain 1 that begins your side, and then you're going to do 2 puffs, 2 puffs, 2 puffs, 2 puffs, 2 puffs, chain 1. That's going to be your side. And then you're going to work your corner again. Puff, chain, puff. So chain 1, 2 puffs, 2 puffs, 2 puffs, 2 puffs, 2 puffs. When you get up to the end of that round where you've, let's see if this overlays any. So if this is my current round, you can see that in the next round, in that double crochet V, we're working 2 puffs on either end. So then my round 6 had 3 puffs across, my round 8 has 5 puffs across. Your round 10 will have 7 puffs across. Your round 12 will have 9 puffs across. Okay, and we just work 7. So your row 9 will have the 5 puffs with 2 double crochet V's on the outside instead of the 3 that we have here. You're just basically either working the double crochet V and then the puffs across. If there's already a double crochet V, then you're just working puffs across the side. I hope that's helpful. I hope that helps demonstrate at least how to work each round, where you're slipping your stitch. You can see that my disc in the middle has already started to flatten out from that little cup that it started to make at the beginning. And I promise that blocking is going to take the rest of that out. It's going to flatten out really well. So I hope that helps.